Your baby can hear you perfectly, every single word, and sometimes they're choosing not to respond. That's not a hearing problem. That's not defiance. That's one of the most sophisticated things their tiny brain does all day. Here's what's actually happening. But first, here's why this matters right now. Most parents misread this moment completely. They call louder, they call again, they start worrying, they book hearing tests that aren't needed, or worse, they interrupt their baby mid-focus, right at the most productive learning their brain has done all day. Some parents pull back emotionally, start hovering instead of trusting, start second-guessing a bond that's actually working perfectly. That misread has a cost. Not catastrophic, but real, because if you understand what's actually happening, you stop fighting it, you start using it, and your baby gets to keep learning. So here's the first thing you can do right now. Next time your baby doesn't look up, pause, count to 3, don't call again yet, give their brain time to finish what it's doing. Watch what happens. Most of the time, they look up on their own. You didn't need to interrupt, you just needed to wait. Now, you might think the problem is that your baby can't hear well enough yet, but actually their hearing is sharper than you'd expect. Here's why. Your baby's brain is not like yours. Not yet. It can't do 2 things at once, not even close. When your baby is deeply focused on a toy, on a pattern on the wall, on the way light moves across the ceiling, their brain is in what researchers call a state of selective attention. In that state, outside sounds get filtered, pushed down, ignored, not because your baby doesn't love you, because their brain is working so hard it has to shut some things out. Think about that. Your baby isn't tuning you out. Your baby is so completely absorbed in learning that nothing else can get through. That's not frustrating, that's extraordinary. Here's the science. A baby's brain consumes glucose at roughly twice the rate of an adult's. That's why babies need so much sleep, why their nutrition has to be so dense. When your baby locks onto something interesting, the prefrontal cortex, still brand new, still being wired, dedicates nearly everything it has to processing that one thing. Sensory gating kicks in, sounds get suppressed, even familiar voices, even your voice. Your voice, the one they've known since the womb, still filtered out because the task in front of them matters that much. Now, you might think calling their name louder or more often is the solution, but actually, that's the one thing that backfires. Here's why. Repeated name calling during deep focus doesn't pull them in. It trains their brain to treat your voice as something to filter harder. You become the noise they've learned to ignore. But one well-timed call, after a natural pause, when their focus breaks, lands completely differently. Their brain is ready, the name registers. They look up, timing beats volume, every time. But here's where the science gets genuinely strange. We've talked about what's happening in their focus. We haven't talked about what's happening in their sense of self. That part, that's where everything clicks into place. Around 8 or 9 months, your baby goes through what developmental researchers call the 9-month revolution. They start to understand something enormous. They realize they are a separate person from you, that you have your own intentions, your own goals, that your attention can be directed, and that they can choose when to engage with it. This isn't full theory of mind, understanding that other people hold different thoughts and beliefs from their own, that comes later around ages 4 or 5. But at 9 months, the foundation is being laid. Your baby understands you as someone with intentions. Someone whose gaze points somewhere meaningful, someone worth paying attention to on their schedule. And it shows up exactly here. In the moment they look away when you call, in the moment they stay focused on the toy, they're not being difficult. They're practicing being a person, their own person. Now, you might think this sounds like it should worry you, but actually, it's one of the most reassuring signs you can see. Here's why. Babies who sometimes don't respond are often babies who are securely attached. That sounds backwards, but it's true. When your baby feels safe, when they know you're there, when they trust you'll still be there when they look up, they feel free to focus deeply on the world around them. They don't need to check in constantly. They're not anxious. They're exploring from a secure base. Your baby ignoring you might be a sign that you've done something right. Let that land. The baby who seems not to hear you is using the safety of your love as a launch pad into focus, into learning, into independence, that's attachment theory, in your living room. On a Tuesday morning, but there's something here that matters, and most parents miss it entirely. There's a difference between a baby who sometimes doesn't respond and a baby who consistently doesn't respond to their name by 12 months. If your baby startles at loud noises, turns toward music, calms to your voice, their hearing is working. The selective filtering you're seeing is developmental, normal, actually healthy. But if your baby consistently avoids responding to their name, rarely makes eye contact, or shows little interest in sharing attention with you by 12 months, talk to your pediatrician. Not to panic, to get eyes on it early. Early attention to social communication development is one of the most powerful things you can do. Trust your instincts. You know your baby. If something feels off, that feeling is worth a conversation. Now here's the layer that ties everything together. Language acquisition researchers have found that babies run something like a statistical analysis on sound all day, every day, tracking which sounds appear together, which words show up around which objects, which voices predict which experiences. When you call their name and they don't look up, part of what's happening is that their brain is still processing your last few sentences, still filing them, still cross-referencing them with everything they already know. Your baby isn't behind. Your baby is catching up on the processing queue. You're producing data faster than they can sort it. That's not a problem. That's the gap between human experience and human development. And your baby is closing it every single day. And the moment your baby finally looks up, when you've called their name twice and they turn and find your face, watch their eyes. There's a flash there. Recognition, relief, joy. They knew you were there the whole time. They were just waiting until they were ready to come back. That's not indifference. That's trust. The deepest kind, the kind where your baby doesn't worry about whether you'll still be there, because of course you will. That focus you see in them, you built that. That sense of safety that lets them explore without checking in every second, that's yours. You gave them that. Now, you might think you've got your baby's attention figured out, but there's one behavior that surprises even experienced parents. If this changed how you see your baby, you need to watch why your baby stares at you without blinking and what their brain is actually doing in those moments. That video is right here. And tell me in the comments, how old is your baby and what are they completely obsessed with right now? Because whatever it is, it's teaching them something incredible.